Okay, we're recording.
Okay. So I'm so honored that everyone is here with us tonight because I know this is a crazy time of year, like in general. And then when we add just the energies right now are insane. They're just insane. Like I can't even like today, like I had trouble just like I got back from walking the dog and felt like I needed to go back to bed. Like it was just, I was exhausted. And then my kids were texting me from school. They're like, Mom, what is going on today? I am exhausted. So, which I think is pretty cool that now I can be like, well, this is what's going on with the energies. So I hope everyone is doing okay. And by all means, share what's going on with you because the only way to get through this is with community, right? Like to try and navigate this all by ourselves, we're just going to end up in a loop that is going to be really hard to get out of if we don't reach out to like-minded people who are just people who are willing to receive the information so that they can show up better for themselves and for everybody else around them. I think it's so important to connect with people like that because if you're not, right, those people are just going to like latch to us and kind of like bleed us dry because they're looking for, just like what Cheryl was just talking about, like that willingness to sort of like take the responsibility, but then actually like applying it so that you can move through it is hard. So what came through for me this week is I want to talk to you guys about the stories that we create for ourselves and the dreams that we create for ourselves and why they're different and how we can use them for us instead of having them at war with each other. So for anyone who's not familiar, I label stories as our mechanisms, like events that happen to us in our childhood that we create a story around and then we live in that story. So for example, if I am a little girl and I get in trouble for this is a true story. So I got in trouble for eating my dessert before it was dessert time. And then I lied to my mom about it while I had chocolate all over my face, right? And so right there, I created the story as a child, right? That I'm not allowed to have my reward until I'm all done, right? Or until you get to the place where you're allowed to receive the reward. Just because I wanted the dessert, I had to wait until it was okay to have it. And I'm not really explaining the whole story as well as I should, but my point is it became a pattern for me to live in that you can't allow yourself the reward until you've checked off all the boxes per se, right? Like you can't enjoy food under 20 pounds, or I can't, celebrate my success until I achieve or all my goals. Myself in this gap between where I was and where I wanted to be, but not really allowing myself to ever receive in that process. So keeping me in this, I'm always climbing the mountain, but when do you actually get to get the reward for the journey, right? As opposed to thinking it's always about the destination. And so that's been like a huge story for me that I've lived in for most of my life. And most of us, we live in these stories without any conscious awareness that that's what's been driving us, you know, to get us to where we are today, right? Where a dream is this light and innocent and curious expression of ourselves that sometimes we're so caught up in the story that we almost don't allow ourselves to dream. Like we feel like as long as we're checking off the boxes, then that's enough. And we kind of lose the creativity and the innocence of getting lost in the dreams of who we are and what we can be. So stories tend to limit us where dreams allow us to be limitless. So the reason I share this is because I was walking the other morning, and the snow had started to fall, and I was totally getting lost in the beauty of the snowfall and how it was so gentle and light, and it was just, and it's in the silence, like the beauty and the silence of it. And I was just like, wow, there's so much magic in the snow. And then I was thinking about how every snowflake is unique, and like the way the light like reflects off of the snow. And I was just in this wonderland of magic and bliss with this snowfall. And then this voice came in that was like, what are you talking about? It's snow. Like, why are you making it into anything other than just snow? And I immediately was like, wow, like, look at the way I just took myself out of this place of beauty and blissfulness and joy, and just getting lost in the moment. And immediately was like, no, like, we got to put it in a box. It's just snow. So stop making it into being anything else. And what I realized is that was my ego keeping me in this limitation of who I was, because I'm not that creative, right? Like, I'm a very practical person. So if it's snow, it's snow. It's not magic. There's not a unicorn like hiding on the other side of the snowfall. Like, it's just it. And so as I was kind of sitting with that, and really for the first time for me, being able to see the contrast between my heart getting lost in the moment versus my head being in the moment, and like this stark difference between the two, what I realized is, because of the stories that we create and that we live in, we don't allow ourselves the innocence of the dream, because ego's job, right, has been to serve and protect us, right, to keep us safe. That was the purpose of ego. Like, if you think about when humankind was created, right, we needed ego to be able to tap into the body's resonance and recognize when we weren't safe based on the energetic frequency that we were given out. Like, if you're out in the plains and a buffalo was coming, you needed ego to be like, you need to move because this isn't safe. Like, that's kind of what the purpose of ego was originally. But now we don't live in a world where we need to be safe from, the nature environment. We live in a world where we actually need to be safe of this reality that we live in, right? That keeps us in this goal-oriented destination place, check off the boxes. You need a degree, you need the label, you need the income, you need to have a partner, you need, like, all the labels that we need to check off is the world that we live in. And if we don't have these things, right, it creates this anxiety inside the body that makes ego go, oh, we're not safe. So we need to make sure that we keep working towards those things. So stop dreaming, because when you're dreaming, you're expanding beyond what's actually safe for you to live in. And so it made me so aware that of ego's innocence. And I think for a really long time, we've been punishing ego. You know, we tend to label people who are egotistical as bad. You know, narcissism has this, I mean, like the idea of being a narcissist makes people think that they are just like the worst of the worst, right? What could be worse than being labeled a narcissist today? Where if you really think about, the narcissist allows themselves to dream that they're worthy of more than what they want to settle for. And I'm not talking about a narcissistic personality disorder. I'm just talking about narcissism in general, which is somebody who allows themselves to be bigger than the limitations of who they are. So I was able to kind of dissect the beauty of ego, its purpose to help us navigate a world that wasn't safe for us to be the innocent truth of who we are. Because if we were truly honest with the truth of who we are, a lot of the things in our life wouldn't resonate with us. It's like, really think about all the things we show up to do every day that we do out of obligation, out of the responsibility of a job that we might have, or a relationship that we're in, or some things that we volunteer towards. They're not all things that we would be doing if we truly lived in the innocence of who we are. And this is where merging the story and the dream becomes so important, because we need both. Because we can't live in the dream world, because we wouldn't be able to survive, but we can't just live in the story because we're so limited in where they could go. And so when we talk about, you know, the divine masculine, the divine feminine coming into union, or we talk about the whole mind, body, spirit connection, or we talk about just ego versus the heart, like all of these ways that we want to label it, what it's coming down to is it's time to allow this version of ourselves that we haven't allowed our dreams to kind of like really go someplace where we haven't really gone before, and then weave in the story into it without making the story wrong or the dream wrong. It's how we find the union, the balance, the yin and the yang between the two. Because we're not unsafe anymore in this world. It's okay to dream bigger, right? There's more opportunity for us. We're not as limited as we used to be. There's so much more available to us now. And the only way that we make it possible is through the dream, not through the story, because the story is going to keep us in the world that we've always lived in. But the dream is going to allow us to build the world that we've all come for, right? The world that we're creating through the creativity and the innocence and the joy of who we are. So I have more that I can share, but I kind of want to tap in with you guys and see what resonates with that, what doesn't resonate with that. If you have questions, if you have your own aha, if you're familiar with your stories, and so forth and so on. So if you could just take yourself off of mute or use the chat button, I welcome all of it.
Well, I'll just add a very brief comment when it reminded me when me and Cheryl spoke about last time we saw each other in person. Well, actually not last time, the time before. I remember we talked about how and I think the story we're so used to, the way we grew up is we are the guest, behave ourselves, behave as we are expected, stay small, be unnoticed, don't speak up, don't be heard, you know, be in their corner. And then we, you know, as we were talking about, and she was driving, we were like, we are the guest of honor of the party. We are not the children of the party anymore. And that's kind of made me think of the story is that we are the child to stay small, to stay quiet, to stay under the table, and to listen to the adults. And the dream is you are the guest honor of the party. You are the great Gatsby of the party, right? Do as you please. Fly. So.
Right, that's right. Thanks for the reminder, Oksana. Yeah, I was saying that I felt like it was kind of an aha moment that I'm not just the hired help here on earth, that I'm supposed to be here. I was saying that, I was saying to Oksana, I was invited to this party. I'm not just the hired help. And then Oksana said, you're the guest of honor. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be able to walk into a room with that level of resonance, like thinking about the way the story keeps us from walking into the room as the guest of honor, when energetically the frequency of the body needs to be in resonance of what we're believing in, which is the story, right? We're not the dream is a reason why it's a dream is because it's hope, right? But the story is what we believe about ourselves. And so the world is going to show up for us based on the energetic resonance that we as. So taking the story, this is why when we merge the story with the dream, taking the story that I'm a guest at the party to making the story I'm the guest of honor at the party allows us to show up in the room with the energetic frequency of that, which is how we shift our world when we shift the story to be one that allows us to expand into that version of ourselves. Nobody has to know that that's what we believe about ourselves, right? That would be ego. Like ego would show up in the room being like, look at me, I'm the most important person in the room. Where somebody who's merged the dream and the story is in balance and harmony with themselves and able to walk in the room just in the energetic resonance of the truth of who they are, allowing that experience at the party to be a completely different experience than it would be if we walked in with the energetic resonance that we're the guest, which is exactly how we all show up in life every day. Are you showing up in life every day as if you're just so grateful to have a seat at the table? Or are you showing up in life as if you're the CEO of your life? Because you are, right? We create our experiences in life through the energetic resonance in which we show up in the world in. So if I'm showing up in the world with the belief that I'm the CEO, I'm the creator, I'm the manifester, I'm the most important person in my life, I'm going to live a very different life than if I'm showing up in the room, showing up in life as if I'm just so grateful, right, to have a seat at the table. And that's kind of where we got misled on a lot of this, the personal development empowerment course where, journey where, we're supposed to just always be expressing our gratitude. And by no means am I dismissing the power of gratitude, but our gratitude needs to be so much more than the settling of just having a seat at the table. Our gratitude needs to be that I get to walk into in the world how I choose to walk into this world. And I am so grateful that I have that choice, because nobody gets to decide what my energetic resonance is within me. And that's what sovereignty is. That's what freedom is. That's what this whole be you fully idea is that I choose the energetic resonance in which I show up in the world, right? And by allowing myself to see my stories, but also honor my dreams, allows me to merge the two, so that yesterday I may have shown up with, thinking I'm a guest, and tomorrow I'm going to show up as if I'm, the person that's being celebrated. And that same day, same room I'm walking into, but completely different experience.
Yeah, I'm experiencing the exhausted that everyone's talking about. I don't go to bed until after midnight, and for the last few weeks, maybe a month or so or more, I'm finding myself passing out around 6, 7 for like a 3-hour nap. I wake up after, but I'm told I can't even stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't even fight it. My eyes just close and I'm just gone.
Yeah. Well, think about what's really happening in that moment, right? We have all of this, we're having this major shift in consciousness going on the planet, right? Where we're all waking up from the limited version of ourselves to this limitless, abundant, blessed version of ourselves. So think about all the stories that are in our heads that need to be rewritten in order for us to be able to embody the shift in consciousness. So last week we talked about the caterpillar and the butterfly. And what we were talking about is, imagine the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis, but with the consciousness of the caterpillar. So it never shifted its consciousness to believing it was a butterfly and allowing itself the magic of being a butterfly. Instead, it's a butterfly living like a caterpillar because it never shifted its consciousness. So that's where we're all at, right? We're all shifting our consciousness from being this version of ourselves that had to be small, because let's be honest, up until now, if you showed up in the world like acting as if you were the most important person in the room, the world would have squashed you, right? It would have just taken you like a bug and just been like, no, like the world was not designed to give us those types of opportunities to believe in ourselves in that way. And now with the shift in consciousness, that's what we're shifting from being in our head into our heart, so that we have more compassion and we have more peace and we have more love and we have more grace and harmony and all these beautiful things that we've always at our core been like, this is how we should be, but why isn't the world that way? And it's because the consciousness hasn't been there for us to live in, right? And so the level of exhaustion comes in because we're fighting so much. We're literally at war with ourselves. The mind, the body, the soul, they're all fighting each other because they haven't been in alignment to be able to be in complete connection with one another. Because the heart is the one that creates the dream, right? And then the mind allows the world to then, like, the way we've lived is we see the world and then we believe what we see. And now we're shifting into, I feel the world. And then I allow the world to be a reflection of what I feel versus the world telling me what I'm seeing. And that's not an easy shift to make if we don't have the time to be that present with the moment, to be able to compute, am I seeing, am I allowing what I'm seeing to tell me what I'm feeling, or am I feeling and then telling myself what I'm seeing?
I know what you mean.
So
Yeah.
we're exhausted because
Yeah.
we're learning, like we're a child learning how to walk, like literally,
Mm.
right? And think about the amount of naps a child needs. Think about the amount of time an animal sleeps. Like pay attention to nature, right? They spend most of the day resting because they're conserving their energy for when it's needed.
Right.
Right? And so the world that limited us kept us thinking we had to go, 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 go. You got to do, 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 do. There's no time for rest. There's no time for assimilating to the energies that you're feeling. There's no time to be present with what you're feeling, because we got boxes to check, we got places to go, we got things to do, and we got to go. And so we're learning, right? And so what's happening now is it's amazing. Like I'll be doing something and then immediately I'm like, I have to sit down and close my eyes. Like if I don't, I'm not going to be able to function, you know? And so being able to honor that within the body, like rest, like no different than you know, an animal, or even, you know, depending on the type of parent you are, like allow the child to rest when the child needs to rest. Allow your body to rest when your body needs to rest, because if you fight it,
Right.
because think about your story that's already judging yourself for napping.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all know, I know, I don't know about anyone else, but I know Scott and you and myself, the New Yorkers are known for, you know, busy, 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 busy. You don't have time for anything, you know, and it's,
Yeah.
I mean, different parts of the country,
City
even as
that
much.
never sleeps, right?
Yeah. And, literally, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
except for the last couple of years that went by that I don't like to give any names to, but the lockdown kind of brought us to, you know, to kind of a standstill where people were forced to go within and
Yeah.
rest.
Right. And now think about why people are so exhausted,
Mhm.
because we were gifted, you know, by all means, take what resonates. We were gifted this time to slow down and become present with ourselves, go into our own chrysalis, right? And now everybody emerged from the pandemic and wanted to go back to how they were before. They just wanted things to go right back to normal. And nobody.
What is normal?
Right, exactly.
It's
Well,
not my
that's
normal.
like I don't know what normal is. I mean, I don't even I struggle to even know what how I spent my time in 2019, because
Mhm.
the way I am today is I'm a completely different person. And how many of us have honored that we're not the same person, that we did all have a massive shift in consciousness, but we're all still trying to show up and trying to get things back to normal. Like I watch it like with my kids in school. Like the teachers are exhausted, the kids are exhausted, administration's exhausted, because they're trying so hard to go back to the way things were, and nobody's honoring that we're not the same people
Mhm.
anymore. And so it takes people who are consciously aware. There is a responsibility to honor what you need right now, because you are the way shower for all the people who haven't had that awakening with their consciousness yet. You know,
Mhm.
it's not about conspiracy theories and trying to prove to people that you're right and all this stuff. It is about holding grace for so many people that are starting to just get that itch, that like their job may not resonate the way it used to, or a relationship may not resonate the way it used to, or they get a health scare and now they have to go through this huge, you know, awareness in and like change was forced on them again, right? And so sometimes I know for my awakening started in 2011, 2012, and it started with my health, waking up to nutrition and my lifestyle and the choices I was making and the ingredients and the way I moved my body. Like that was like the beginning of that level of personal responsibility and recognizing that I was not here to give my power away to anybody else, that I had to advocate for myself. I had to do my own research, that there were people out there to guide me and support me, but it was my responsibility to take responsibility for my life, on all levels. And so that's what's about to really shift big time for so many of us, all the places that we give our power away because we don't want the responsibility of it, right? Like there's a reason why people aren't healthy. There's a reason why everyone's in debt. There's a reason why everyone's fighting with each other. And it's because people don't want to take the responsibility to actually like learn for themselves or admit that they have a story that's limiting them and keeping them from expanding into more of who they are, right? And so this loop that we're in is about to just go and so people who are able to show how to take responsibility for themselves, right? And it's so simple. I'm going to give myself the grace and compassion that I by no means have been perfect on this human journey that I'm on, but I also recognize that it got me to where I am today. And I would not be who I am today if I didn't go on the journey that I went to. So complete forgiveness for who I was at that time, acceptance, love, like to really love the journey and recognize that sometimes I had to go left when I look back, I should have gone right, because if I had gone right, it wouldn't have led me to where I am today. I would have been just trusting that part of the journey, right? And so to be able to show other people how to walk in faith and how to be in trust and how to forgive and how to love is more important than anything else we can do for others right now. Like this is a crazy story. So yesterday morning, I feel like all of my stories are when I walk my dog, because that's my life right now. It's just me and my dog. But I was walking my dog and one of my neighbors, I watched her get into her car as I was walking, but Oliver started to sniff like he does, and it's all snow, so there was nowhere for me to really go. So he's just sniffing along. And the next thing I know, my neighbor had backed out of her driveway and her car was inches from my face, like inches. And I was like, and I had nowhere to go because of the snow. And I'm looking around to make sure Oliver like wasn't like near her tires or anything. And all of a sudden, like she becomes aware that I'm standing there and she rolls down her window and she was like, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like, I just wasn't even paying attention. Right now, being the New Yorker that I am, there was a time in my life where I would have gone off on this woman for almost running me over. I mean, think about like, I can't even tell you the amount of F-bombs that would have came out of my mouth, right? Where immediately I was like, totally get it. Like, could have been me driving that car. I can't tell you what I know what it's like to just get lost in the moment. You're not paying attention. The next thing you know, you're almost running somebody over, right? And so I share that like just to show the shift in consciousness there for me, which gave her the grace of where she was. And she was so grateful for me being like, totally get it. Like, could have been me. Everyone's safe, everyone's fine. And, you know, you go do you, and I'll keep walking my dog, you know, type thing.
Mm.
So like, do you see like how it doesn't have to be about the way that we make Facebook posts and we want everyone to know the truth and see what we see and know what we know. It's those moments where you have this opportunity to give someone just grace and compassion. That's all we need to do right now. If the moment we try to do more, right, we're going to need a 3-hour nap, because energetically we just can't give anything more than that right now. And what a beautiful teacher that is for us right now, to recognize that we can't give more than we want to right now, because if we do, we're gonna get knocked down. And you know, and if we don't listen, that knockdown may be a little bit harsher than needing a 3-hour nap.
Mm.
Right. And so it's like that space of just honoring what I need now most. Because when I honor what I need, I create so much space in my life for more of who I am to come through, versus being in that go, 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 do, check off the boxes person. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Yeah, that all
Yeah.
just came through. Somebody needed to hear it.
I understand exactly, and I trust that everyone feels the same way. I'm no longer the same person I was before 12/12. I could feel the difference of the portal today, and it goes. I know it's going to run through things that's processing or coming through the solstice, winter solstice, and absolutely, I am like you. I noticed that I don't engage in like the New York, like you said, in that mountain. I'm from Hell's Kitchen, New York City, so yeah, no way, big or small, that you know you're gonna go at, you know, you just the reflex action of just like you said, so many F-bombs will come out of your mouth, but I don't. It's been quite a while, and just a couple of days ago with one of my sisters, you know, tried to get me engaged in one of those back and forth, and finally said, you know what, stop texting me. Oh, I'm sorry for you know, trying to have an adult conversation with you and trying to tell you how I feel, how I'm sharing. I feel like, I said, no, by no means, you feel away all the way that you think you should feel, that you have to feel everything. And that was it. She didn't text me back after that. You know, so it's like, you know, you're not going to engage me. I mean, New Yorker Taurus, they talk about the whole temper thing or whatever. And it's like you take and take until that one time you just boom, you know. I think you are Taurus, so I think if I'm
I
correct,
am.
you know, so you know, and it's not like that anymore. I mean, it maybe, yeah, but it's not. We're able to handle it in a different way.
Mhm.
Like almost like be the change. I think we automatically being the change we want to see at some level.
Well, I also think it's the emotional maturity
Mm.
allows us to recognize that everything is an energy exchange, right? So whether I'm exchanging it with a person, a job, a relationship, you know, something that I'm watching on television, everything is an exchange of my energy. And so the more mature we are, the more we value our own energy and where we're going to give it and where we're not.
Mm.
Right. And then being able to recognize, and the other thing too is there's the awareness that I don't want to exchange my energy with you right here. But then there's the moments that we do get triggered.
Mhm.
Right. And then being in awareness of that comes so much quicker than it used to. Like before,
Right.
I could be mad about something for 2 or 3 days. For now, it's like an hour, and I'm like, oh, okay, it happened. I see what happened. I see what I did there, right?
Mm.
And then being able to just see it, accept it, forgive myself for it, and move on.
Right.
you know, which, you know, stories would have kept me, forget about forgiving myself. My stories would have had me so stubborn and even accepting that I could have done something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that righteousness, right? Because there's this great guy that I have followed for years. His name's Keith Kochner, and he says, he goes, there's going to come a day where you're going to decide, do you want to be right, or do you want to be in love, right? Because if we're always trying to prove our story right, then we're not loving ourselves, because we're more attached to the story that we've grown up in to be right than actually being humble and admitting we were wrong, even though the story doesn't serve us. But we're so programmed to not admit that we could be wrong, right? That fear of the failure, the fear that I could be wrong, the fear of what people would think if I actually used to show up this way, but now I'm going to show up that way. Like all the judgments, all the shame, all the blaming are all rooted in us not allowing the story to change. And now we're just in a space where the story doesn't matter anymore. The story got you here, fine. But now it's time to write a new story that allows you to dream, that allows you to be the hero, that allows you to be the guest of honor, that allows you to be the CEO. Like those are the stories that need to take flight now, not the stories that were so limiting in a world that never allowed you to be more than who you are. So yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Oh, yay, Son is off mute.
No, I just wanted to thank you for that. Again, it's like these small comments, these little sentences that spark deeper exploration within itself. When you said, you know, we used to see the world and believe what the world we see, and now we feel the world. And it made me think of how different many of us feel the world, right? And I thought of, wow, there's so many people that look at that world, including myself. There are those times when I'm like, wow, it's really going to shit. Like it's a shit show. It's really just horrific, horrendous. And then as I was thinking that as you were talking, I realized, which ties back to the story and the dream, is that the less stories we have, the more beautiful we will see the world that we're coming into. Because so I just wanted to thank you, because it sparked, in literally seconds, it sparked into that whole digestion of the less layers, the less stories, the cleaner the windows that we're seeing the world through. So.
Cool. Are you ready for this? So
Yeah.
This came in a while back. I think I've shared this with Tina. The stories. Ready? What do we call a building that has floors? We call them stories. And then what happens in our awakening that allows us to shift and move forward? We have a tower moment. The tower has to come down in order for us to shift in our consciousness and our awakening. So the stories that we built are the tower that we live in. And then when it's time for us to evolve, expand, shift into more of who we are, the stories have to come down. The tower has to collapse so that we can be in this expansive space where anything is possible. And we become the creator of building the new. And then we build a new story and we have a new tower. And then guess what happens? Eventually that tower is going to come crashing down too, because it's an infinite game. We are ever evolving, ever expanding, infinite beings, right? It's no different than when you climb a mountain. I heard this once and I thought it was so fascinating. When you climb a mountain, what happens when you get to the top of the mountain? You see that there are so many more mountains to climb. So you have to come down the mountain in order to prepare for the next journey, for the next mountain you want to climb. And that's the same thing with our towers, right? We're constantly creating new stories for ourselves to allow ourselves, because as much as we want to make the tower bad, the tower gives us a safe place to grow into who we are. You know, it gives us a foundation. It gives us boundaries. It gives us parameters of who we are and what we're building and what we want to live in. But we can never forget that we created the tower. So at any moment, I could change the story in the tower. I can renovate the tower. It doesn't always have to come crashing down. It doesn't always have to be this tower moment, drop to my knees, look up and be like, help me. I can renovate my tower. I can make adjustments to my tower. I can put an addition on my tower. Like, I'm the creator of it. But the moment I forget I'm the creator is when the humility has to come in to wake us up. And
It's like
yeah.
your tower can be like a Jenga tower.
Exactly. And it should be, right? Because it needs to like move and sway and constantly be,
Take
yeah.
little pieces out.
Oh, I love that visual. That's so good.
That's good.
That's good. I like that. Oh, that's such a good, like, oh, I love that. Thank you. So we're coming up on the hour. So I don't want to go too much farther because I don't want to keep anybody up. Not all of us took a 3-hour nap today, Brendan.
You know, I was sitting here and when I got this thing, I'm like, oh, okay, it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh, and I'm about feeling that nap thing I was telling you about. I was like, let me just log on and see what's going on. As I'm first sat here, I did feel myself, oh my God, I can't keep my eyes open for like 3 seconds and it went away.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it's just, our bodies, like I think Lori Ladd is the one that said that recently too. Our bodies are the ones that also, and I didn't realize that until just, you know, recently too, that not only are we, you know, consciousness and everything else and bodies, physical bodies, which is something you don't, you know, but it makes sense because you're in here. So whatever's happening is happening to the body too. And you just didn't click.
Yeah.
And one of the things I find myself doing lately, like you mentioned before about feeling, I no longer say seeing. I said, you know what, doesn't feel, I'm not feeling it. And that's kind of, it's become one of my things that are automatic now. Because I'm feeling something, and if it doesn't feel right, then nope, it's not, you know, I don't resonate or whatever. But I don't say about seeing anything anymore. That's just funny that you said that, because I'm feeling a lot more than I do see.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's really important to realize that the body is still, it still hasn't shifted
Right.
into the higher frequencies, into the higher consciousness, right? So if we rely on the body, the eyes, the ears, the smells, the taste to tell us something different, it can't. The only thing that's shifted so far is the energy, is the feelings that are within us. So we have to allow ourselves to feel differently about what we're seeing and what we're smelling and what we're tasting and what we're hearing in order for the physical world to then shift, because energy moves faster than the physical matter, right? So so many people are waiting for the world to change, and the world can't change until we change. You know, and that's why that's why the grace is so important right now, of becoming so consciously aware. Am I feeling, or am I looking for, you know, proof? or am I feeling into it? Am I allowing myself to be so powerful that I'm going to trust what I am feeling versus waiting for something outside of me to give me proof that it's safe,
Right.
right? Which is putting us right back into the ego, because the ego to be safe. The ego loves us very, very much, but it wants us to be safe and protected. So if we're using the physical body to guide us, then it's going to keep us limited, because the body is limited. But if we believe that we are limitless, then anything that I'm experiencing in this physical world, I have to choose how I want to resonate with it. Not easy by any means, you know, and that's why it's a practice. You know, we can't get discouraged, and that's why I'll leave it with this, is that the willingness to consistently show up and take responsibility for ourselves is the only way to get through this. Because if you wake up one day and keep getting discouraged that the world hasn't changed, you're gonna lose all hope in this process. You have to consistently wake up every day recognizing that you are the most powerful person in your world, because you get to decide how you want to feel. You get to decide if the snow is magical or is it just some white stuff falling from the sky.
Magical, I vote. Because if anybody wants to dispute that, well, then explain to me the amazingness of looking at a snowflake really close to you. And what that, if that's not magical, I don't know what is.
Right? Just
Because
the
I
way
mean-
the light glistens off of the snow.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's just pure magic. It really is. And if we all allowed ourselves to feel that way, right? Like, think about the instant shift in the energy in the world. If we're all like, it's magic. Everything is magic.
Yeah, I told my nieces that growing up, magic is real, and they just, now they're teenagers. One is 19 and the other one's 14. I tell them still magic is real, and they look at me and they kind of let it slide. But I'm like, you believed it when you were younger, why not believe it now? Magic is the real,
Yeah.
But you get to a point in age where you don't,
Yeah.
because
the
because that's one of our
stories-
programming, right?
That's exactly.
Imagination and magic is not real, and fantasy is not real, when that's the real thing compared to what you're trying to teach, they're trying to teach us.
Yeah, exactly. And now we get to be the proof that magic is real.
Absolutely.
And
And the
that's-
snow is beautiful, by the way, where you are.
Oh, it
Not
is-
in the city though.
no, there's nothing like dirty snow
No,
in the city. Oh,
Yeah.
it's awful.
I know. When it piles up and it's black, not even brown, black with
So
grease and
dirty.
dirt. Yeah.
No, here it's absolutely beautiful. We'll see what Friday brings. We'll get another storm. But
Also to quickly add is that not only see the magic, but so many people are not taking the time to
mhm,
look for it, like just to slow down. The second they slow down, it's chaos. It's,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's been
Yeah.
a long slowdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, on Sunday, I had to drive home in the snow. So the snow started, we got snow, started falling at like 10 a.m. So it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to drive from Colony Center up the North Way. So it's like 20 miles. I can't tell you how many accidents. There were cars off the road all over the place. And to me, it was such a signal of how many people aren't present.
Mm.
And it immediately shifted. It woke people up. If you were on your phone, if you weren't paying attention to the road, or you were the one that, like, you were in a rush and not allowing yourself to just take your time, like you'll arrive when you arrive type
Right.
thing.
Right.
There were cars all over the place. And I was like, wow, like it made me realize that I think we're going to see a huge increase in car accidents in the coming months as the energy continues to shift and ramp up the way that it is, because if you're not present, it is going to immediately course correct you.
Mm.
So, all right, everybody. Are you okay, Tina? You're extra quiet. You're good?
I am exhausted. Like I literally am sitting here like, oh, and I'm trying to sleep as much as I can, but with pouring into other people with my profession, it's been really, so I've been peeling away stuff and just resting as much as I can. I'm gonna have the next few weeks. I just like slowly canceling some stuff just to open up my schedule a little.
Good. When does the
Myself.
semester end?
The semester just finished last week. I start again Monday. I'm doing winter session. Yeah. So this whole week was playing catch up and regrounding from 150 college students. And now I start winter session, which is a little easier. It's virtual. So yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I hear you, Cheryl. Me
I'm with
too.
you, Cheryl. So thank you so much for joining us. And please share your flyer. If Oksana can either share it or you can send it, that would be great. But everyone that needs to go to bed, go to bed. I
Thank
know
you.
I need to drive home still. And Oliver is pawing out my back. He's ready to go.
Where is he? Hey, Ollie. Hey, buddy. Hi.
Oh, Oliver.
Yeah.
Oliver.
He's been there all that time. Oksana, are you home right now?
I'm home, yes.
So where's
Well,
your
I'm in
beautiful,
Albany.
where's your beautiful
Visiting.
green-eyed kitty?
Huh?
Where's your beautiful green-eyed kitty?
Oh, somewhere hiding as always. I have two now, two green-eyed.
You know, it's funny because you've seen pictures, you've posted pictures before, but there's one picture that you did recently that actually saw so close up and I could see the eyes of really green. And it's one of my well, when I saw my first spirit animal, it was a Bengal tiger. And then when I was doing a workshop with someone and they had you do that Sufi thing, where they look into and see your, so he had told me he saw a black, thing like, antler thing. And I'm like, no, no, it's a jaguar. That's not, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's not, so he goes, I'm sorry, a tiger. He goes, buddy, you can have multiple, you can have hundreds of them. And since then I've seen it and it's a black panther with green eyes. So that reminded me when I saw your picture.
Yeah, that's my major spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was so good. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you.
No,
Yes.
Thank you for a beautiful discussion. I am so grateful for it. So thank you. And
Everybody gets some rest. Oh, someone suggested on LL Tribe to watch the Guardians of Angel Christmas special. That was good. I don't know if it was you.
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's it. Galaxy Christmas special. Someone said it was good and I watched it and I'm so surprised how much I enjoyed that movie. And
Yeah.
I don't like any of the new stuff when it comes to Christmas. I like that old Christmas feeling of love.
No,
And
they did a good
basis-
job.
Yeah, they did a really good job. The characters, I mean, David Patuso, who's this big, huge MMA guy,
Yeah.
he's good in it. He actually did a really good job of playing that, and it was all done from love. And after all, that is the answer, all right,
Yes.
for everything. So I really enjoy it. I watched it a few times and I'm probably going to watch it a few more times before the season is done. It's a feel good. It's a feel good movie.
Yes. Anything that feels good, go do more
Yep.
of that.
Exactly. Okay, guys, thank you. I guess hopefully the way if things go, I will see you next time.
Yes, I'll be
Right.
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Good night, everyone.
Next
Bye.
Wednesday. Love you. Bye.
bye.
Bye.